Do I suffer from gender discrimination? I do feel that in the social setting in a law firm, I did feel like as a female lawyer, there were sometimes some hurdles that had to be overcome. As a female lawyer, I do get asked a lot, do I suffer from gender discrimination? Or have I ever encountered gender discrimination at work, in the workplace, or whether I feel like I need to work harder than my male colleagues? My instinctive reaction to this question is always to say no. When I look back at my career, I didn't feel like I was put under more pressure or had more hurdles to overcome than my male colleagues when it came to the actual legal work and when it came to drafting legal advices or representing clients. However, I think when I reflect further, I do feel that in the social setting in a law firm, I did feel like as a female lawyer, there were sometimes some hurdles that had to be overcome if I wanted to make a connection with some of the more senior male colleagues or more senior male partners. A very common example is going out drinking, right? If the boys were going out for a drink, you may or may not get invited as a female colleague of theirs. And so sometimes in that sense, there were hurdles. I bring this up because it's connections between human beings and connections between colleagues is actually really, really important in order to set yourself up for a sustainable career. So I did see some hurdles on that front. And if I were to really reflect even further on what type of hurdles I faced personally, and without going into too much detail, I feel that as a lawyer, as long as you deliver quality work, you will get recognized. Sometimes it's a bit more difficult as a minority, but that is a whole different discussion in and of itself. I made partner at the age of 34 in an international law firm that focused on maritime law. So to tie back to the previous question, it's a very male-dominated industry. So I also often do get asked, how do you make partner in a law firm? I would say two things. The first thing is hard work. There is no escaping hard work. So as a junior lawyer, you really need to take in as many cases as you can in order to hone up not only your legal skills, but your stakeholder management skills. It's important to learn from partners how to manage your internal stakeholders, whether it's your juniors, your peers, or your senior stakeholders. And the second point is do not shy away from business development and networking. Because it's not good enough to be a good lawyer, you need to get the business in. So how do you actually go about getting business in? Because when I mentor younger lawyers, a lot of them say, I'm not sure whether I want to be a partner. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, I'm not good at business development. I'm not good at sales. When I pause and think, I think sometimes lawyers have a very low view of what sales actually means. Sales and marketing is not a dirty word. It just means putting your value proposition forward and having people believe in you. So how did I get my first client? I networked. You need to go out, you need to meet people. That doesn't mean that you need to meet everyone. You just need to go out, put your persona out there and let people know that you are a good lawyer, you're sensible, you're pragmatic, and eventually those that like your persona and those that trust you will come to you. So I got my first client through networking. So in my career, I've made a number of changes. I moved from Singapore to Hong Kong, and in Hong Kong, I became partner in an international law firm. And after a couple of years as a partner, I decided to move in-house. The reason for moving in-house was basically to see what it was like as an in-house lawyer. I soon realized in-house lawyers perform a very different role to a partner in a law firm. In-house lawyers are basically risk managers. You manage the legal risk of the corporation that you work for. So whilst it is a back office role, it's actually a really, really important role. So depending on the role that you're in, sometimes you'll be reviewing a lot of contracts, but it really is understanding the risk that your company is prepared, the risk appetite of your company, and through the contracts and through the way you contract and through your corporate governance process, helping your board of directors and helping your senior management manage that risk. A second very important part of what in-house lawyers do is stakeholder management. Again, it's sometimes you're stuck in between a commodities company, sometimes you're stuck in between your front office, your risk, your chartering group, and you're there acting as a mediator. And everyone is looking to you because you're the lawyer and you're helping them manage risk. But you need to manage everyone's egos, you need to manage everyone's position. So stakeholder management is an important part of the lawyer's job. I think for lawyers these days, it's really, really important to take on some international experience because I think that really will help differentiate one lawyer from the other when it comes to job selection or even promotion criteria. So I've worked in Singapore and Hong Kong. A lot of people do ask me what's the difference between Singapore and Hong Kong, working there because of this rivalry that traditionally exists between the two cities. I can say that the pace of life in Hong Kong is a lot faster. Singapore tends to be a bit slower in terms of the pace of life and also in terms of expectations. Now, if I talk particularly practicing as a lawyer in private practice, Singapore is a fused profession, meaning you're both advocate and solicitor, whereas in Hong Kong, it's a split profession. So the way you practice and your ability to present a case in court becomes even more important in Singapore. Lawyers in Hong Kong are just a lot more commercial and a lot more pragmatic, as are lawyers in London, because they perform the role of a solicitor. And I also think there's no replacing having China at your doorstep, because there's a lot more deal flow that flows through Hong Kong, which then adds to the complexity as well as the variety of work that a lawyer will get to experience working in Hong Kong over working in Singapore. But both cities really have different things to offer depending on which industry you're in.